In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I'm with Leah Houston, and she's the founder and CEO of HPEC, and we're going to be sort of unpacking what HPEC is all about today. We always dive into new industries here, new founders, and new companies. So we're very curious to see how they are helping sort of, essentially humanitarian physicians with their day-to-day tasks and their businesses. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Very good, Leah. So maybe give us a 360 overview. What is HBEC all about?
Well, HPEC is all about restoring privacy and trust to the practice of medicine. As our world becomes more digitized, as we are using EHRs to document our patients' data, and as the world is becoming a more global economy where people want to be able to move from place to place, we're developing an application that will allow doctors to own their professional brand, move from health system to other jobs or telemedicine systems, be able to prove that they are who they say they are with digital verifiable credentials, and then eventually also leverage that in order to connect directly with patients and restore privacy to that relationship as well.
Super interesting. Seems like a very honorable cause next to the fact that there's interesting technology at place. Very, very good. Maybe tell me a little bit about sort of who is in the end benefiting from the solutions. Is it, the doctors? Is it the individual? Like maybe tell us a little bit of sort of the network effects of this platform.
Well, it's benefiting everyone, because, I'm an emergency physician. So it's going to help me and my colleagues be able to do our jobs without all of this friction of paperwork. And, a lot of people don't realize that credentialing takes 2 to 6 months and can cost a health system up to $1 million. It can cost me about $100,000 on average in lost wages that I could be making during that credentialing period. So it's going to help physicians. It's going to help health systems because there's a shortage of doctors. And so to be able to quickly onboard, quickly verify identity, quickly verify credentials will give them access to, more physician talent so that they can quickly hire and onboard people. And then of course, it's going to help patients because if we're reducing burnout for doctors, if we're making doctors more accessible, we're increasing access to the right doctors for patients, and we're all patients in the end. So I'm really excited about it. And, I do eventually think that it's also going to help patients own their data and things like that, because a lot of people don't realize, they talk about data ownership and patients owning their health records. Well, who's the one that creates those records? Me, as the doctor. So if I'm documenting something in a system that allows me to immediately transfer it to the patient, we can essentially give them their data as well. So
For somebody who wouldn't be as in tune with, the credentialing process, like what is sort of the key issues that make it so slow and cumbersome at the moment?
well, each system is different, but there's 30 to 70 things that need to be checked when you are coming on to a new health system or when you are credentialing for an insurance company, meaning what's allowing me to take a patient to the OR, to order that expensive medication, to discharge a patient, and then to bill for it. What are the things that I've done in my life that I have credentials for that make me allowed to do that? My medical degree, my residency certification, which is my post medical school training, whether it be in surgery or emergency medicine, my medical license that allows me to practice medicine in the States. And then we have all these other certifications. We have NPI numbers that allow us to bill for Medicare and Medicaid. We have DEA numbers that allow us to prescribe controlled substances. And then they also have to kind of check all of the insurance that we've had and all this other paperwork. So if you think about it, I went to medical school once. I went to residency once. Why is it that I don't have a digital certification that happened, that I can quickly show somebody and prove that it was completed without them having to go back to the medical school, call them, fax them, and ask them for proof every single time?
Gotcha.
That's the old way of doing it. But now that we're in this new digital era, we have these new technologies that can streamline that process.
Okay, that definitely paints a picture on sort of where the problem really lies. Now, I'm curious, right? How do you think about growth? Like what is the journey of somebody discovering your products, HPEC, that we have some solutions. Maybe we can actually briefly touch on that there is sort of combining solutions or complementary solutions. And yeah, maybe let's go into that first. Like, sort of you have sort of a complementary set of solutions working. Maybe you can tell us a sentence about that before we were talking about growth.
Yeah, I mean, we're using a new technology to build a new way of doing things. And so we have the doctors who hold the credentials, who are the ones that need to do all these things. But we also have the credential issuers who need to become a part of this. When the state licensing board issues me a license, they need to also decide to start to participate in this new way of issuing digital credentials. And in order to do that, they need to be aware. So we're working on creating awareness. We're working on trying to build relationships with medical schools and residency programs, connecting with GME directors, chancellors of research, because we can do research projects around this. We can do an A/B testing. Let's test the old way and the new way and see if it's less friction filled, see if it's cheap, less expensive, see if, we can do it quicker. So yes, we're going to try to attract the physician users to pick this up, to upload their own credentials, to connect with each other. But we also are looking for credential issuers to actually issue these digital credentials.
Mm-hmm. Super good. Now I'm curious, right? Because obviously, I would say at least, the companies that we had on board, the medical space is sometimes one, where there is it takes a bit of time to get momentum into the companies and, let the companies grow also through digital channels. How do you think about growth? Like, what is sort of the client acquisition channels that you are excited about?
Well, I think that this new system is so much more secure, so much more privacy preserving, and also saves so much money that it's a win-win situation. Um, Regarding, the growth piece, people don't realize, especially during coronavirus, the physician community is really suffering. They have been really pushed around by what I like to call the medical industrial complex. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to close their private practices. It's been a really bad situation. So the physician community is really burnt out. They're really looking for a solution to this problem. We chose to do medicine to serve, and we've been unable to serve efficiently in this current system because it's so friction filled. So I think because this is so new, so innovative, so much better than the current system, then once people see it and feel it, they're going to start flocking and to use it.
We talk about websites a little bit in the Pathmark Presents podcast, quite naturally to, what sort of the listeners here are super interested typically in sort of strategies around optimizing the page. You got your website up and running there. What's your perspective on the role for the website? What role does it take today? What role do you think it will take, moving forward?
Well, we just launched a new website, and it's really, sign up to join us, sign up to get an invite link. Eventually this is going to be accessible to everyone, but especially, when we first go into production, we're going to be sending invitations. And so if you come through the website, if you're a physician licensed to practice anywhere in the United States, you can log in to get in line to get your invite link. But you can also get invites from people who are on the platform. So users will be able to invite their colleagues. And so unlike, LinkedIn, where you just say what you did, you can say you graduated from Harvard. LinkedIn is not checking that. Our system actually checks your credentials because you have to upload them. So, and then when you invite people, you have to say how you know them. You have to either have worked with them or went to medical school with them or fellowship with them. And then you need to attest to that. So essentially we're creating a trusted network of practicing doctors where, we have, you have your own professional brand, including your referral network that you built by inviting the colleagues that you refer patients to.
I'm quite curious, right? Since you were bringing, quite a bit of piece of innovation into the industry, into the world of physicians, what do you actually found to be the challenge when it comes to bringing in innovation into this industry?
People don't understand it. They don't understand the technology because it is so new and it's doing things so different. It's hard for people to wrap their head around it. And, but this is what innovation is, uh, Henry Ford said, oh, if I asked people what they wanted before he built the car, they would say that they wanted a faster horse, because that's all the context that they had. Doctors just want quicker credentialing solutions. They want somebody to pay to do their credentialing for them. They don't realize that there's a new tool that they can leverage to kind of, not have to do it that old way any longer.
I see. Super interesting. I would love to switch gears a little bit and talk about you personally as a sort of founder in the company. Since obviously, typically when we have founders on the show, right, they take a whole lot of responsibilities, right? There's the technical aspect. There's typically the very focus area aspect now, a medical focus that you have. And then there is, HR, and then there is growth. And then all of these things are coming together. How do you filter from whom and where you learn in order to sort of progress into all of these fields?
I mean, this has been a steep learning curve, I have to say. It's been amazing, though. It's been like one of the most exciting things I've ever done. And I've been blessed to have found amazing people. And it's not easy. There's a book called Who by Jeff Smart that talks about a method for hiring and a method for finding people that I read. And it's a process. It's a process to find the right team. I've been blessed to find amazing designers who helped to design our app. They are decentralized application designers. So this is like what they do. And so it's like a new industry, and they're like, the experts in that way. I also have a company called Light Co-Creative who helped us with our crowdfund, helped us, organize our CRM data and do our outreach. And I would not be able to do this without them either. And then, of course, the people that I love the most and I'm the most excited about are developers. Seth Hback is our CTO. He is the back-end guru. He understands distributed systems. He understands decentralized identifiers, which is a very new technology. It's open source. You can read about it on the Decentralized Identity Foundation and the World Wide Web Consortium. And you can see all of the code that people have contributed and how this open source technology has been developed and designed by people that are way smarter than me. And then Radu is our front end developer who's a mobile expert. He's been doing mobile applications for over 10 years, and he's the one that brings that back end into view so that you can experience it and see it. It's been an awesome process to get to do that with all these people.
Very good. Since the interview is coming to an end slowly, I want to jump into our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Yes.
What is the last book that you read?
Recapture the Rapture is a book I'm currently reading. And then before that, Tribal Leadership. I'm trying to remember the name of the author. Both excellent books. Really, really valuable.
What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Restoring privacy and trust to the practice of medicine.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what's the one thing that you want to have fixed for your role today?
Wow. That's a hard one. Can I pass? No boundaries in technology. I mean, I would, teleportation. I don't know, time travel.
Very good. That all good ones. Today would actually be your first day working on the product, working on the company, right? It's been what, 2 years, right? So far as I'm concerned, about 2 years, right? What would be the one advice that you would give yourself if you would restart today?
Would I do anything differently? Believe that people want to understand this. There was some frustrating times when I was like, nobody understands this. And I was really worried that nobody cared, but it was really just my messaging. So if I had maybe believed more that people wanted to understand it, I wouldn't have been so stressed at that time.
Very good. Is there maybe one advice as a follow-up that you can give other founders out there, how you've been sort of, iterating and working on that messaging? Because I think a lot of, founders with innovative products struggle with that same thing.
If you're working on something that your heart is truly being called to, you'll know what to do. You know, you'll know what to do. There's no advice to be given. Yeah.
Very good. Leah, I really appreciate that you took the time with us today and gave us an insight about sort of the HPEC world. I want to sort of give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed today, what's the one thing that they should remember about HPEC?
That the physician community chose to sacrifice their youth to serve their patients. That the patient community is their number one concern. And I know right now in the system, uh, you sometimes feel rushed through visits. You sometimes feel not like you're not heard. And we as physicians, as doctors caring for you, don't want you to feel that way. We want this relationship to be repaired. We want to continue to serve you. And the technologies that are making it hard for us are going to go away. And HPEC is going to replace them.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you for having me.